And we're live with Wojtek. And hello. And we're going to be going through the first paragraph in the Please Understand Me Too, aka PUM 2, Rational Architect profile, which is same as the INTP profile because it was based on David Keirsey Jr. and he was recently been typed by Victor Galenko as an LII. So those two are compatible. To ignore Wojtek's noisy mouse. You got a scroll wheel action going on there. Right, so yeah, are we trying to find it? Okay, but it's on my screen as well. So, I mean, that's what we're going off because I've got it all marked up.
Okay, the architect. I'm trying to find it on my ebook version. The logistical leader. No.
Or you could just look at the screen.
Yeah.
Right. So, were you preoccupied with spatial relativity and systems design from an early age?
Yes. I did stuff like designing whole states in my head when I was in school and bored by the lessons, and I thought up government systems and whole societies that would run on certain principles.
How old were you at the time?
That was in my teens.
Right.
From childhood, I have always a vivid imagination, and but I can't remember much of it. Like in this context, creating structures. Yeah. Most of what I do remember is rather from my teens. So, but for that, it is definitely true. And I think it is like the core. Keirsey describes the INTP core somewhat better than all the other systems as architects of systems. I like that very much.
Now, there's no need to go super quick through this because we're only doing the first paragraph. So if you really want to dig down on a so what you were saying now about Keirsey, why do you think he's good in this respect?
Because there are other descriptions of the IDP, like the logician, and that's only partly true. I don't think we are that obsessed with formal logics. It's rather a holistic view to design whole systems and how parts can work with each other or can't. I think we are more prone to see this the things that wouldn't work together, that are conflicting, and how one can resolve this conflict.
Right.
I mean, I was always interested in science, of course. I have a master degree in physics, akin to a master degree, but it's the German system.
Right.
So it was always my goal to understand the very basics of science, and physics is the very base of all the other sciences.
Right. Okay. But I'll stick up for biology in though by saying it's the biggest subject.
The what? Sorry.
The biggest subject, biology. Just look at medicine.
Yes. Well, biology is somewhat in between a hard science and something else. I always was interested in anthropology and biology since I read very illustrative books about the human evolution
Right.
when I was a kid, and so this interests me a lot. But as when we try to frame it in this system designer way, yeah, I mean that's what I like to do most. I'm a programmer. I always for the current job that I'm doing, I'm programming and designing a website that will be a social community, and it's I rather try to design something from scratch than to use already existent things. I rather want to have full control over the system I will be working with, and that is only possible if I design it myself.
However, you were saying there about you will have your own internal frameworks from past experience that you'll sort of go back to.
Yeah.
So your own personal SI, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we see when we look at SI from this memory perspective and not from comfort, from the comfort perspective, like in socionics. Yeah, I mean, knowledge is the key to that, but it's rather for me it's rather the mindset that you have, that you see the very framework of a problem, and how it can work together with a system, or how it won't. Like, for example, like when I getting to know some system I'm not familiar with, like when I started to read about socionics, I immediately see problems that this theory will probably have, and where it probably is good, without knowing the details about it. I mean, sometimes you're wrong about it, sometimes you're right about it, oftentimes you are right about it.
I'll just because Keirsey's got a little bit on organization. Now, when you're saying there about SI, I'll say how Dario defines it. This is a very good book, 8 Keys to Self-Leadership. This is Dario's. Wojtek, have you done the Keys to Cognition test?
Yes.
That test was based on this book.
Yeah, I thought so much, because earlier showed me his definition of TI and the different levels, and I recognized the questions as the key to cognition. I often recommend this test to others, because when the type is not very clear for people, then this test gives you hints at what their type could be. And for all I know, it's the best one out there.
Yeah, although what one can get is sometimes with the way Victor conceives of the control function, and Maria's, she communicated this to me, was theoretically, in terms of what I mean is, like, when an NI DOM is doing, say, Dario's test, and they're asking questions about NE, within theory, and maybe Victor Yes, in Invictus profiles, you've not seen the NITI NITx profile yet, but you have seen the NIFX profile, where, and he always considers the control function. So the 8th position is high in information, low in energy.
Mm.
And the idea is that for the NI DOMs is they do see all the possibilities, but they don't then implement the possibilities or go with it. So maybe that would be the example of. But also, if we look at behavior, though, it's not a case of NI DOMs do the tangenter, because they don't do it as much. Maybe they could do it, but they don't see the need or see it as going away from what they are focused on. So I would like to investigate. I'm very interested in the control function because there's a little nuance from Model A, which is just the ignoring function. So I would, because I'm wondering if it's possible for an INFJ and an IFX to score high on any on Dario's test. And it depends how the questions, in terms of, do they have high, so for instance, somebody with the control function of any, where they have high possibilities. So for instance, Jeff Miller put me through the proper MBTI, and I scored as INTJ. But the TE things are more aspirational.
Yes.
It's an example of the TE control, where it's, I'm a wannabe J.
Yeah. I always got a high TA score in this keys to cognition test, but as you said, it's rather theoretical. Like, I know how I could be efficient in a time management way, but I'm not. I'm very bad at this. I try to get better, but it's naturally hard for me. I get lost. I think that the difference between TI and TA is in how this functions define efficiency. TA does it in the traditional way of time taken, or what will do the job in this very specific situation the best. TI tries also to be efficient, but in another way. It tries to find the solution which will solve the most amount of problems simultaneously. Like, for example, you have a theory that will solve similar problems like this in the same way. So you try to find the meta solution with TI. For example, when you are coding something, and you could do a solution that just does the job, and you know you will be finished with this standard solution very fast. But then you get the idea, hey, this problem is kind of similar to a whole set of problems which I could solve in this and that way if I think about it. And you try to find this this particular solution for a lot of problems simultaneously.
But I can give like a simpler example of that is, if you have an INTP who is used to doing Mensa tests, they are going to score higher than any other type, easily, because what you notice is if you do a lot of these Mensa tests, these high IQ tests, a lot of the same problems are coming up again and again and again. And you can just, like you said there about this is a problem, like probability-based questions based like something like a bath takes this long to fill up, it takes this long to empty. How long does it take to, like, a bucket with a hole in it? How long does it take? Like, there's similar questions And it's like you're generating your own personal SI algorithms of how to solve these problems. And so, I mean, I used to do these old Mensa tests like years ago, but I can't be bothered doing it because it's not profitable use of my time. But if you take somebody who has, say, an IQ of 130 as their base level, but they are somebody who enjoys doing these Mensa questions, and if they're like doing them in their spare time, they're just going to get so good at these questions in an SI kind of way. And there's a lot of mathematicians I've noticed like that in these INTP groups, where you give them like certain questions, like dressed up in a certain way, and some of them, oh, what's the formula? Right, and so if well, it's not obvious then, because I once did that with a maths teacher, and he said, oh, what's the formula? So
yeah, abstracted to a general pattern, like what because like this kind of questions, there's this riddle from Einstein where you say there are 5 neighbors and one smokes Marlboro and the neighbor of this smokes this and lives in the red house and so on and so on. You can formulate this as an equation.
Ton of questions. There's a ton of questions like that in Mensa. Go on.
It's you can formulate this as equations. You can a set of equations, and then you solve this equation. There are formal ways which you can do this, and then you can solve this. I personally I don't like this intelligence proving riddles because I find them to be a waste of time. I mean,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's what you don't. I mean, they expect maybe when you have really fun with this kind of question, but I don't do anything productive.
Exactly. Whereas it's like when you're creating something, programming, it's a much. You actually get something out of it, and you've used your intelligence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love about programming, because you can, from all these abstractions, you can provide something that is useful, and not proving how intelligent you are or not.
We don't need to prove it. We get to a certain point where, okay, we're satisfied.
Yeah, and I mean, you can discuss how much IQ correlates with intelligence in general, because people who score high on IQ tests are good at scoring high on IQ tests. So there's a correlation, of course, but one might ask the question if other kinds of intelligence are not.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Like for example, for STPs, okay, ESTPs I think are good at this, because you talk about your father who scored very high on intelligence tests. I sometimes think that they are more prone to do good on this test than INTPs, because when you see a question and if they have SE and are really seeing the one solution for this kind of questions, then they will be better at bulk solving such questions, because they don't have an E that creates alternative interpretations of everything you see.
Yes. So trying to work out what the actual question is.
Yeah, because they ask this, but maybe they mean actually this. Yeah. And an STP just sees, okay, this solution for this is this and that. And so I think they have more unnatural leaning to solve this kind of questions.
Well, I got one. 13, my dad told me about, this is a wonderful IQ question. And because this is the INTP hangout, I am going to tell people this question. I won't give the answer away, but this is fantastic, Wojtek. This is a great one. And it was actually created by the most intelligent person at the time. It was a woman. She had an IQ. I think her IQ was like 200 or something. And she came up with the scenario of there's a game show. There's 3 boxes, and in one of the boxes, there's keys to a really expensive car. And she asks the contestants to pick a box. Contestant picks a box. Say they pick the 3rd box. What she does is she opens up one of the boxes which is empty, and she knows it's empty. And she says, "Okay, this one's empty. Do you want to switch? Do you want to stay with the 3rd box, or do you want to switch to the 2nd box?" So the question is, should she switch or stay with the original selection?
Intuitively, you would say that the percentage of probability is the same, but I think she should rather switch, because when you have the original equation is 1 to 3 to get the high price, right?
Yeah.
So it's 1/3. When you eliminate 1, it's 50% to be right in this situation. But I have to think that one out. I'm not doing this on live here.
But do you want me to give the answer?
Sure.
Right, this is what it is. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. And I love this question because it defeats people trying to use an algorithm. Like, you were there, you were trying to use an algorithm.
Yeah.
What it is, right, so because you've got 3 boxes, you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting the right box, which means there's a 2 in 3 chance of it being in the other boxes, right? So once you eliminate one of the boxes and say it's not in there, there's still a 2 in 3 chance that it's in that other box that's remaining. So you should always switch, because there's a 2 in 3 chance it was in that box. Well, I'll draw it out. So for instance, right, so if we can say these 2, that's 2 in 3, that's 1 in 3, right? And that it's still right. So for instance here, so it's like a 1 in 3 chance it's in this box, and it's 2 in 3 that it's in this. When she eliminates 1, it's still a 2 in 3 chance that it's in that one, because she's eliminated it. Because remember, she said, "Oh, it's not in that one," and it's based on the original selection. Oh, it was 1 in 3. So you see what I mean? So that's 2 in 3. So you should always switch. Now, when Carol Vorderman explained this, she said the audience were like, "What?" So what they did was, in order to prove it, she did the experiment, and she did it like, right, we're going to do this 1,000 times, and she actually measured the results, and then it was like 2 in 3, just based on probability.
Yeah, that's what I like to do with questions about probabilities in general. I try it out because actually I'm very bad at probability questions. So, for example, like there's this game of typing persons right, based on visual typing. We talk about that in the auto hangout. And
I'll just say one thing.
Yeah.
Before we get back, I'll just say now. The reason why I brought this up, they're talking about my dad. So my dad explained this to me when I'm 13, but he then took it to the next step. Is he wanted me to offer odds on it so that I could make a profit.
Huh.
Go on, go back to what you're saying.
But didn't Dario said that ESTPs are better at this chance?
Oh, deduction. I think
Yeah.
I think he said more activity and deduction,
Uh,
and then INTPs were second, and then INTPs were top in categorizing and defining.
yeah. Yeah. I think there was some note about making calls based on probability. I have to look it up again.
Oh, right, gotcha.
Yeah, and what I like to do is do the experiment to be sure, because then you know. So, like for this for this game of typing someone right, basically you think, okay, there's 25% chance that you guess one letter right when you guess randomly. And
Yes.
what's the average? What's the average chance, or what's the when you guess just randomly? What do you think is the average that you will have to base? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but when you said that, I actually did that at
Yes.
university. Is they
Okay.
got it wrong. What they did was they said in the multiple choice questions, they said, and you got 5 options. They said, oh, if you don't know the answer, don't do it, because if you get it wrong, you lose 1/5 of a point.
Yeah.
But I said, hang on a minute. You've got a 1 in 5 chance of getting it right.
Yeah.
And a 4 in 5 chance of getting it wrong. So that means, on average, you get 1 point and then you lose 4/5 of a point, so you'll be up 1/5 of a point, and so over 5 questions you'll be up 1 point. So is it similar to that?
Yeah. And the answer to that is 50%. You have a 50% all chance when you do this experiment on and on, that randomly guess the type of a person,
right,
to get at least 2 letters right. So I always like to do the experiment. I wrote a short Python script on it, and just answered my question, because in this way I'm more empirical. Like I rather want to simulate something than to go through the deductive process of it. Mostly because I'm lazy.
yeah. And also, just to check as well, like talking about there, that the empirical, Maria actually put me right on this, because I misinterpreted process and results when I first came across this concept from Victor, and because the way I understood deduction and induction was, and when he wrote INTP as an inductive type, I was like, no way am I inductive, I'm deductive, like thinking about principles. Right, and then Maria showed me that I was, she said, Ben, you misinterpreted this. This is why. And so, and then I looked at it, and then when I looked at Victor's actual explanation of involution and evolution, like induction and deduction, is his explanation of it is different from the normal explanation of induction. His was the INTP looks at all of this empirical data and then creates a model based on that data.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Aristotle looked at all of the Greek players at the time, and he analyzed all these Greek players and then modeled the principles from those Greek players and came up with things like the reversal and the recognition. So, for instance, when Oedipus recognizes, oh, spoiler, folks, if you don't want to know the spoiler to Oedipus, right, switch off. The spoiler. So he finds out, oh no, I've slept with my mother and I killed my father. So that's the reversal, and that's when you have that situation. Don't kill the messenger. And then, and also in the story is, oh no, that's why there's a plague on the town. I'll rip my eyes out. So that's what you get with Oedipus, and that's why you get the Oedipus complex. But so he analyzed. So the idea of, so Aristotle looked at all the players and he found the common principles, the principles that were common to all of these stories.
Mm.
And then when I saw that explanation from Victor about involutionary, because I also thought mentally simplifying, how does, it's just that from Victor's point of view, the INTP is mentally simplifying all this data by then coming up with a complex model.
Yeah.
Everybody else is thinking, no way INTP is mentally simplifying. But from our point of view, taking all the data and then creating a neat little model from it is simplifying it. So I had to get my head around that. And I thought, yeah, we are inductive.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of I read an article on TA versus TI, one being deductive and one inductive. Inductive would be TI, and I don't agree with that. Like, personally, I'm in the first step, I'm mostly deductive. I look at a broad set of phenomena, and I try to see patterns. Well, maybe that's an I for us. Maybe that's the mysterious INTP and I use in the first step, where you just try to make out reoccurring patterns.
Well, when I was saying like induction and deduction, is Victor uses it in a very specialized way, and he talks about in it that is that specifically when he's talking about involutionary, mentally simplifying. But from his point of view, taking a load of data and changing it into a model is mentally simplifying. But okay, I can give people an example of what this really is. Right, you got an INTP or any type with all of their complexities. And then when you change them into a diagram with 8 squares and some bullet points, you are simplifying that person into a model.
Yeah.
Because the person is more complex than the model. So that would be an example of mentally simplifying.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a general process of modeling. I mean, of course, you lose information in the process, but a good model is trying to reproduce reality in a significant way, that you boil it down to the significant parts.
Yes.
And, yeah, I mean, that's how I see TI, to filter out the basics frameworks, basics workings of a complex system.
The principles. It's just like with Aristotle, the principle of the reversal and the recognition, where somebody takes an action and the opposite thing happens.
But then there's this other process that's characteristic for INTPs. You build on this basic principles that you filter it, and then you start building, and then we are at Keirsey as the system architects. But we first have to accept this basis, and we can only do this if we are sure that this basis is kosher, is canonical.
That's right. So, for instance, what you just said there is, so we do the mentally simplifying thing once we've like looked at all the data and come up with a model. But as you say, we then like nuance the model and make the model more complex. So now what I can do now is I've actually done some color coding of Keirsey, talking about the difference between order and organization, just so people get an idea of what is meant here. So Keirsey didn't do functions, but this correlates well with the difference between NTJs and NTPs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the webcam over, and it should be quite sharp. And I'll also take off this advert for Victor's group. People know it now, Model Victor. I'll just switch that off. Right, I'm glad it's the right way around. So
Yeah, but for example, that is something I see with you, with all your diagrams and your notes and your colorizing things, because and I love your diagrams and your
Thank you.
stuff, because you are extracting the basic structure that you see in this. Like
Yeah.
you're trying to interpret a model G on Keirsey, for example, or to identify where Keirsey, who does not like functions, actually speaks about functions.
Yeah, because I see the types as real. It's not
Yeah.
just, you're not just randomly categorizing people.
Mm.
It's the types, and Dario Nardi's research shows this, that there are, you're not just randomly slicing and dicing people. There are, and so again, this is really simplified.
No,
This
it is a meaningful model. It is a model that is dividing in not arbitrary ways, but in significant ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is for order. So you've got rank order for the ENTJ. So like hierarchies, and then serial order. So for instance, I've sort of correlated that with TE, hierarchy for the NTJ, and NI for the serial order. Right, okay. What is it? Ranks and steps are separate from each other. Yeah, and I'll put there not really function based, that one. Whereas the serial order is NI. So I have been intellectually honest there, not really function based. What else have we got here? I did a little diagram here on NTPs with the connections. I think are lateral. I think that rank is vertical, and that it's linear for INTJ. That's my own interpretation. It doesn't say lateral, but I think that it's lateral for NTPs. Now, so we'll go through this, and then you can tell me what you think of this. Oh, I'll just put this bit here. Order is concerned with what follows what. Organization with what is simultaneous with what. And so it's the NTPs do organization and the NTJs do order. Now, ironically enough, and people might think, it was actually Jeff Miller that told me about this. Because like I said, he's really into Keirsey theory. Right. I'll read it out for people as well. Unity in systems is a two-sided matter. On the one hand, there is unity in order, while on the other hand, there is unity of organization. Order and organization are different from each other. Order is concerned with what follows what, organization with what is simultaneous with what. Those rationals interested primarily in order I call the coordinators. And those primarily interested in organization I call the engineers. Yeah, that's right. Now in personology, changed engineers to constructors. Before we consider what the coordinators, and that's again, INTP is always changing the name of the terms to make it more accurate. Before we consider what the coordinators and engineers do, let us study for a moment the distinction between the different objectives, one in search of disorder in systems, the other in search of disorganization in systems. So what do you think of what is written there initially?
That's more interesting, like the last sentence. What are we interested in this order of systems and in this organization systems? I like that. Because one is a temporal question, and the other one is a pedagogical question. So you would relate this organization probably to an I. So an I is sensitive to this things not happening in a temporal right order. And
Well, if we dig down on this is for the, if we have a look at this paragraph here, this is for the NTJs. So we'll have a look at this, and then we can go back to that other one. I'll read it out for the people who have not got 720p. Order, first of all, has two forms. One having to do with above and below, the other with before and after. Right, and I've done it. Right, okay, here we go. Some things are of higher order than others. For example, a colonel in the army has higher rank than a major higher than a captain higher than a lieutenant, or lieutenant, and so on down the ranks to book private. Lower ranks are said to be subordinate to higher ranks, being as they are of lower order. This kind of order is hierarchical and usually referred to as rank order. So that's more how ENTJs think. Yes, yeah. Were you going to say something?
It sounds to me like this is more spatial. I mean, hierarchies are more in the spatial domain. You have high and up. I mean, the words themselves speak of that. And organization, he rather sees temporal. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Just right. Then we got now this one I interpret as NI. The other kind of order can be called serial order. For instance, certain technical procedures require a series of actions that must follow in a very specific order. Take firing a single action revolver. First load it, then cock the hammer, then pull the trigger. Reversing this order will not do. Of course, the kinds of series that interest rationals is a bit more complex than firing a gun. The preparations for the invasion of Europe in World War II, he should have said liberation, is an example of extreme complexity involving hundreds of planners over a period of years. The error in the sequencing of operations fraught with peril and inviting disaster. See, that really fits NI. Like the cause and effect, the contingency planning. And now, so you got like INTJ, ENTJ, and then this is where he talks about the NTPs, and this is where you can come in because this is your wheelhouse. Organization, on the other hand, has to do with either devising and revising or configuring and reconfiguring complex systems that are composed of parts, not ranks or steps. Where the ranks or steps are an ordinal system are separate from each other, the parts of an organizational system are connected organically to each other, such that what happens anywhere in the system reverberates throughout the system. Thus, organizations of whatever kind are said to be integrated, every part being present to every other part of the system. So I keep telling folks that Keirsey was clever, but people don't believe me.
Of course, Keirsey was clever, but was he? You imply that he is basically talking about functions here, and you would see this as TI.
Well, in this case, it's just like NTPs versus NTJs.
Yes, and this is TINE. This is of course connected to intuition and TI. So it's very interesting because I always wanted to see the contrast between NI and NE, and I didn't get it. And when you see NI as following temporal structures, the right temporal structure, and NE more spatial, I often do like a map in my head. Like I have like an idea of where certain parts of a system I'm looking at are. Not how or not in temporal, but really in a spatial way. Like I think, okay, this is further apart from this, and this is more close to this. So I'm really thinking in a metric distance kind of way of this ideas. This is very interesting, yeah.
And that actually fits quite well with static dynamic.
Yeah, yeah.
Although he would say that, well, it's a complex system, it's a little bit more dynamic, but
yes,
compared to a temporal thing, it's
yes.
more.
Yes, I mean dynamic is normally something that changes with time. So it's a perfect word for this. This is very interesting. So okay, this makes far more sense to me now. Why Socionics is seeing an eye as the temporal function.
Yeah, intuition of time.
Yeah, intuition of time.
Of course, and Keirsey being INTP as well, and also he was very much into that book. I asked Junior about this. He and his father talked a lot about Austrian school economics, and that might have been why their profile of the INFP is a little bit rude about their inability to use logic, because maybe he was talking about political conversations about economics. Right. So, and then this is very interesting. And then I can get your thoughts on these bits here. Again, NTJ is what we got here. Now, coordinators do the work of what we might call arranging. Arranging is the act of determining the various levels of rank. In other words, hierarchy, layers, echelons, or the consecutive steps, sequence, series, succession that are required to achieve long-range objectives. Again, temporal. Hierarchical arrangement enables the mobilizing of field forces in conducting campaigns. Serial arrangement, in contrast, enables the entailing of contingencies in a plan of action. And then we've got the NTPs. Okay, I'll a little interlude. So what do you think of what I've just read out there for the NTJs?
Well, this is the process of constructing. I mean, the previous one was about deconstructing and how NTJs and NTPs differentiate, and this is now the constructing part. So they are arranging their ideas in the right order. The whole talk about rank is this only to really social rank, so like SE power, or is it more on the abstract level of hierarchical systems?
It might be. Maybe like TE types are very good at prioritizing things. Like we've got to do this, and this. Like they know. Like, do you think like in leadership roles they have an essence of, right, this is what we do first? Like,
yeah, I mean, INTJs are thinking more in hierarchies and in social rank. I always thought this was more due to their character theory SI, but maybe it's actually the NI. This is very interesting.
and I'll just read it out for the folks that have not got.
Yeah.
They might be watching on their mobiles. Now we've got the NTPs. For their part, engineers do the work of constructing. Constructing is the act of determining what the parts of a system are supposed to do, its mechanism, or what parts of a system are required for it to work, its configuration. Mechanical constructing involves building functional working prototypes, while configurational constructing involves making detailed two-dimensional blueprints and three-dimensional models. Both kinds of construction are undertaken to determine what structures are necessary and sufficient for the system to do its work most efficiently.
Yes, unconstrained by time.
Yeah.
So here we have the constructing part of us, the NTPs, and he puts it quite well. I mean, Sorry, I'm always going to the NTJs because this interests
Oh,
me
that's
more.
right.
Yeah, because as I said, I always wanted to understand NI. I have trouble to understand what NI is. I mean, I know the different
Oh, so have
definitions
I.
of it, and this is I'm getting something out of this. There
What
are,
I
yeah.
what I can do is I'll let you speak. What I can do is then I can show you a bit because he talks about it in the INTJ profile as well about
Okay.
the NI.
Yeah, can you switch to that?
Right, okay, we'll just do this paragraph here. To
Okay.
summarize, arrangement works to reduce disorder in systems. The two forms of it being the mobilizing of campaign forces and the entailing of contingency plans, so the NTJs. Construction, in contrast, works to reduce disorganization in systems. The two forms of it being the devising of prototypes, so ENTP, and the designing of models. To help visualize the relationship between these many concepts of strategic operations, consider the following diagram. And this now in personology, he actually called the ENTJ the mobilizer. He called the INTJ the arranger. He called the ENTP the modeler, and the INTP the designer. So he changed his name. And Junior said he wishes he never told his father how to do find or replace because he kept changing the names of all the types.
I mean, the engineer part is very natural to me. I mean, that is what we were talking about earlier, how TI works and how we can regard ourselves as constructors of systems. But I never understood what NTJs, in what way NTJs are exactly different.
Right.
But okay.
I've got a bit here about so here this is this profile, this INTJ profile is extremely good. It has so many bits that you can say are different functions. Here we go. So anyone who mixes this profile up with INTP, right, isn't thinking clearly. It's obvious this is INTJ. They will adopt ideas only if they're useful, which is to say if they work efficiently towards accomplishing well-defined goals. Boom,
Yes.
INTJ, not INTP.
I had a discussion with the INTJ recently about exactly this, and I told him my theory about the difference between TI and TA and how efficiency is defined for both, and he said, yeah, but TA does this also. Yeah, but it is simpler and can overlook certain fine granularity of the system. And he said, yes, but there's no time for that.
So again, this is a very good explanation. Ideas seem to carry their own force for them, although they subject every idea to the test of usefulness. Difficulties are highly stimulating to INTJs who love responding to a problem that requires creative solutions. These traits of character lead them to occupations where theoretical models can be translated into actuality. They build data and human systems wherever they work. If given the slightest opportunity, they can be outstanding at scientific research and executives in business. Steady pursuits of goals, and then we get a bit more towards NI. I think here we go. What function of
read it? Yeah.
that might be I might have used a different color code in here. I think I've not used purple for NI in this one, but I think I've used purple for FE in this one. Where I've put they tend ordinarily to verbalize the positive and to eschew comments of a negative nature. Really? Oh, wait a minute. They're more interested in moving an organization forward than dwelling on mistakes in the past. However, they.
So orange is an rather maybe.
Let's have a. I can't remember what I might not have ascribed that to a function, right? Because when I did this, I wasn't color coding it as well. It's not.
Can you look at the notes at the top of your page? Normally, you have like notes there about what function is colored.
Yeah, I didn't. When I was doing this, I wasn't as disciplined with the colors. The TE is right. Okay. Oh, okay, that's where I got NI in the blue. Now I'm more consistent with the colors. However, they can become single-minded at times, which can be a weakness in their careers. For by focusing so tightly on their own pursuits, they can ignore the points of view and wishes of others. Right. So their own fixed goal.
So that would be NE as a control function, not seeing alternative.
Or if they do, they ignore it. And I've got I've got TE in orange. Masterminds are certain that both internal and external consistency are indispensable in a well-run organization. And if they encounter problems of overlapping functions, duplication of effort, inefficient paper flow, and waste of human and material resources, they are quick to realign operations to the forgotten goal. Remember, their imperative is always cost effectiveness. And then about them being good at school. And then I've got here on FE break on well, we're getting a little bit in the weeds here because we're more concentrating on, because we'll do this when we do like the INTJ profile, but it does have stuff on FE break and like very good observations. Like for instance, it says they don't show much emotions, but they are closet romantic. So it's like the FI.
They are,
yeah. Even romantic types, loyal mates, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But it says here they don't want a submissive mate. So like it's like ESFP that's got a bit of feistiness about them, but not at the cost of having a submissive mate. Because the ESFP is not submissive.
Actually, they like to be submissive. I have to.
Oh, yeah, the INTJs themselves, yes, because they've got that romance style of the victim.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a mass. So anyone reading this, so like Jack Aaron showed me a table of like socionists that looked at the Keirsey profiles. It's obvious that that is ILI. That this is Balzac. There's so much stuff. Subject every idea to the test of usefulness. Like that straight away. Contingency planning, and then when we go back to our one of oh yes, now we can go back to this thing because you wanted to talk about this, about the NTJs.
Can you read it? Because when you move the camera, the pixel artifacts I can't read.
Okay. Well, well, another thing you could do is you could look at page 171.
Okay. 171. Damn it.
Yeah,
okay. I got it.
Yeah, I should have scanned this. Then I could have done a share screen.
The strategic intellect 179 starts with we have the same version. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 171.
Yeah, got it. Now correct. Okay, that's what we already know. You read it already. What paragraph?
Oh, it's the paragraph that says now coordinators do the work of what might be called arranging. And I just wondered if you had some extra, because you're saying that fascinated you, and maybe you.
Because it's just from the realization I had from our discussion here, what process they're actually doing in arranging systems, and if you define arranging in a sequence, temporal sequence, then it's
right.
all makes sense. But Keirsey here says in the brackets, in other words, a hierarchy, layers, echelons, and this is kind of contradicting, because it's not hierarchy and layers; it's rather sequences.
Oh, well, what it's doing there is,
yeah.
oh,
Okay.
that's why I color coded mine, because I did orange for the ENTJ for the ranking, and I did purple for the INTJ. So, for instance, consecutive steps, sequence, series, succession that are required to achieve long-range objectives, and serial arrangement, in contrast, enables the entailing of contingencies in the plan of action. So very like INTJ, and then ENTJ is in orange. The act of determining the various levels of rank, in other words, hierarchy, layers of echelons, and then hierarchical arrangement enables the mobilizing of field forces in conducting campaigns. And so in personology, you actually call the ENTJ the mobilizer and the INTJ the arranger. And the personology book is wicked INTP. He has a 17-page profile on the INTP.
No, it's great stuff.
I can show people a bit of it. It's you'd love it. In fact, I could scan it and send them to you. I've not scanned it yet. I've got all the pages marked up. Accommodating designers. We got here. Oh my god, he's got so many footnotes. What we got here? Oh dear. One review on Amazon said of this book, only INTPs will understand this book. You know, we're talking about digressions. He really digressed in this profile.
Yeah, only INTPs will follow this bit to a certain degree.
He's putting shapes in of objects. Right, it doesn't really have much to do with the profile. It's just like it's the same things like INTPs are good at working out when something's the wrong shape. Yeah. So it should look more like this than like that.
Okay, and then so it's not an orthogonal coordinate system, but some. Okay.
It's in about coherence. It's saying that INTPs, if they're a graphical artist, they're very good at seeing coherence. Oh, here we go. This is a little thing about a difference between TINE and NITE.
Okay. I can't read it because you have micro tremors and.
Oh, thank you. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. I'll just read this bit out, and then we've got to get back. How much time have you got left, Wojtek?
Let's cut it to like 10 minutes or so, maybe, and I think that will be all right.
Okay. Okay. I've got to. Right. Okay. I'll read through this, and then I'll go back to the other one. Right. Designers are INTPs and arrangers are INTJs. Designers also differ from arrangers. For example, in the case of the word analyst, the effects of stipulating how a given word is to be used in, say, a contract are quite different from the effects of plans for constructing sufficient landing craft for invading islands held by an enemy. And he was in World War II. The latter contingent upon the training of sufficient crew members to handle the landing craft. Coherent and comprehensive defining of words in a contract increases the probability that the contract will hold up. Stringent training of crews for the acquired landing craft increases the probability of a successful invasion. The setting of limits on the use of words is enormously different from specifying serial operations in the production of war material.
Yeah, INTPs like to talk about the references they're interested in.
Then he's put in here about a slingshot, and then he's talking about when he cancelled an SP that liked to use a slingshot and hit the heads of lizards. That's a real SP, that is. Because these are like juvenile delinquents. Incidentally, one of the counselees where I worked in a reform school for delinquent boys a boy of 14 could hit a lizard's head with a wire staple at 10 or so yards, rarely if ever missing. What a mean arsehole kid, firing wire staples at a lizard's head. Oh my god.
Really? I just thought impressive.
He was surrounded by SPs, was Keirsey. Adjacent norms. What amusing. Now he's talking about the bridge, that, you know, the Tacoma Bridge, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, that you know, because it had an oscillation.
Yeah.
Then FI, and then it goes on and on and on and on. These are some of the people that he thinks were INTP. Copernicus, Darwin, Einstein, Madison Jr. Yeah, he should have put James Madison Jr. And then Adam Smith.
Galileo.
Two Adam Smiths. You might know this guy. Who's Wolfgang Kohler?
I have no idea. But I'm bad with names. Like, I probably know what people do, but I can't never remember names.
Right. Right now, what we can do is, because we're not got much time left. So, like I said, personology, and he's even got like an INTP.
What I would like to talk about is INTPs from the view of Viktor Golenko's energy model. Where is our and I? What do you think? Where is the INTPs and I? Because I see it in the definition of an I from MBTI, like symbolic thinking, archetypes, even like esoterics and stuff like this. I can definitely see that, but like where do you think we use an I?
It's when I talked before about the guy, if you're having a fight, is we think of the cause and effect, we think of the consequences, and because of that suppresses our SE, and that's why we're SE break, is that SE is acting in the moment, whereas our NI is acting, seeing the consequences, and so we don't act in the moment because we see all the consequences of what could happen.
Okay.
And it actually inhibits us from acting, because we can, oh well, this could happen, and that and that and this and this and that and this. So we're the opposite of impulsive.
Because I mean, with stuff like this, you can always interpret it in several ways, or at least any people can. I would have seen it as an E, showing me different outcomes of the situations, and
Now,
I don't think, because when we do this, when you think about this fight situation and you think about possible outcomes, you don't actually think like this exactly will happen in this order. You are more like brainstorming. You are more like having several ideas about this. I think like an I is more prone to take maybe one course of action and project it into the future. Like I will get hit exactly in the head. What will happen then is I will lose consciousness, and probably, I don't know. They do this differently, and I'm trying to understand an I, because that's the function that I have the most problems with to understand it. Yeah.
Did you watch the Hangout with Dario and Victor talking about NI?
No.
Well, that's the one you should have watched.
Yeah. Is it the 4 hour one?
No, it's 2 hours. It's gold. I hardly talk in it.
I have to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right near the top on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
At the end,
I will check it out.
The second most popular video after the Dario Nardi interview is the NI Hangout.
With 3 clicks.
With 3 what?
Nothing.
It's 2 hours long. It's 2 hours long.
Yeah. No, because like
Oh,
from the very start, I had real troubles. I mean, Dario interprets NI also in this mysterious, esoteric kind of way.
oh.
Like,
He defines it in this as when I asked Victor to like comment on neuroscience of personality, he said, "Oh, I want to talk about this instead," because Dario sent him the PDF of this, and he said that Dario's definition of NI is excellent.
oh,
So Victor very much endorses Dario's definition of NI, and Dario defines it as transforming with a meta perspective.
mm.
Now, what I can do is I can give you some things that Dario uses to. Now, Wojtek, we are going to have to go into overtime because I'm doing this extra stuff for you.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's going to happen anyway.
Right. So, how much overtime can we have?
Take your time. Don't hurry. I mean, it's still like 10 o'clock here, so it's okay.
Right. So, even up to an hour, would that be okay?
Yeah, but we could do like a break. Maybe we will cut the video and I have to get some food because I'm getting hungry.
Okay. Well, okay. These are my. Oh, I don't really want to show this on webcam because Dario might kill me. But what I can say is, these are some of the questions, and these are my answers. So I scored high on NI.
Yeah, me too.
But these are his questions. And so this is not the easy level, the low level. Experience a sudden aha realization about a problem, coming as if out of nowhere. So I tick that box, and then I got feel attracted to the symbolic, archetypal, and mysterious.
Exactly.
I gave that half a tick. Experience a premonition or foresee the unexpected. I gave that half a tick. Right, and then for more advanced usage, gain a profound realization from a mystical state of catharsis. No, I coloured that one red, so that's a no-no. Push your mind to envision a solution to a problem that hasn't come up yet. I give that a full tick. And then for the advanced NI usage, synthesize a new idea that transcends various opposing points of view.
Yeah, I gave a positive answer for most of this on the keys to cognition test, and especially for the article, but even for the transformative experiences, yes. But it's but I'm surprised that Victor liked this definition because the socionics definition of NI is quite different from that, right?
It's very open-minded, Victor, and he like keeps changing his mind, just like David Keirsey changing his name at the types. It's like always tinkering.
Yeah. But like the socionics view of an I it's the temporal function, it's intuition of time, and this is I can't like put these two definitions together or get out.
Well, Dario also agreed with the temporal aspects based on the video, and also you've seen the temporal aspects in the Keirsey definition of NI types. Not so much the function as NTJs. Achieve a meta. So we've got temporal aspects here. Achieve a metamorphosis, definitive insight, or powerful vision of change. Transform yourself in a specific way by focusing inward on a way you foresee you'll need to be in the future. So there is the temporal aspect is there. So especially like you got NFJs there. Transform yourself in a specific way by focusing inward on a way you'll foresee you'll need to be in the future. And then here, and then you got metamorphosis, powerful vision of change. So there is an intuition, and it does agree about the intuition about the temporal aspects in that video, about especially when Victor sort of talked about negative and positive versions of NI.
But like symbolic archetypical thinking, that's for me this is not temporal. This is very very static, actually.
Right.
Like,
well, where it comes from is, it is temporal originally in Jung, in that Jung saw the archetypes as representations of universal laws. And so if you're in touch with the archetypes and in touch with the universal laws, then you can predict how things might change in the future.
okay.
So it's just that for Jung, the archetypes are the mechanism for how NI works. How NI is actually able to foresee the future.
Okay, so this is, but this sounds very TI-ish, like getting down to the very basics, the axioms of the system, and building upon them. Yeah, that's why I like archetypes and stuff like this, because they really are the basics of all mythologies, and you can also predict a lot of things in the social sphere from thinking in archetypes. But I see great difference in what this definition of an I says, and what the one that focuses on the temporal aspects of an I does. So still,
Yeah, Dario's definition has lots of different aspects to it, and what I can do is I can read a little bit of this out, and hopefully Dario's not listening. So this is like a cognitive snapshot of introverted intuiting. Right. At the core of introverted intuiting is a meta perspective, a way of seeing things that transcends competing views. When we go into a trance-like meditative mode, we withdraw from the world to get an insight or realization. We can refer to, align, refine, and apply a meta perspective. Applying often means transformation, trying out a new way to be or new way to think. We reflect on our meta perspective by asking, is there synergy?
When I'm trying to get into this mode of being through meditation, I have to willingly suppress my TI. I think TI is maybe not working well with an I together. There's some sort of competition there between these functions.
Yeah, I actually, one way I conceive of NI is unconscious TI. Because the way Jung described intuition was, you get the end product, you don't see all the intermediate steps, because all the intermediate steps are unconscious. And he says sometimes, once you get the idea that pops into your head, sometimes you can trace it back and find out what the intermediate links were. And so that explains why you can have an idea pop into your head.
Yeah, and I types have great difficulties to recreate how they got to the ideas that they have. And we as TIs, we can always say, be very vocal about it. The INTJ that I was talking earlier said he's jealous of INTPs, how they can vocalize complex ideas so easily. But that's because, okay, the TI is in the consciousness. We do all these logical steps with our consciousness. And I like very much what you said. And I is the unconscious TI. That's, yeah.
And again, that's an example right there. Because I've thought about it. I did this about a year ago, a year and a half ago, is that I'm mentally simplifying it. So eventually you get to the point unconscious TI. So it's like mentally simplifying. So that's one aspect of it. And also with INTPs, they're thinking about the same thing again and again and again and again.
Yes.
And also, maybe it's an example when I checked with Dick to this, it's an example of the tandem use of TI and FE, where the INTP is thinking about explaining the ideas to other people, and actually thinking about the other person and how they, and tailoring it to the other person.
Yes, yes. I often do conversations in my head with other
Yeah, yeah.
people, like like especially when I have discussions on Facebook. I sometimes have whole discussions in my head about without the people being involved in it. I think I also had conversations with you in my head, and
Oh wow.
yeah, because that's you with FE you try to predict how a person would formulate their ideas and how they would talk about it. Can we do a break here and get back to it like
Yeah, okay.
in 5
Yeah, okay.
minutes or so? Okay.
Right,
I'll be
okay.
right back.
Right, okay. Yeah, in fact, what I'll do is I'll
Okay.
talk for about 5 minutes
Okay.
while you go and get some food.
Okay.
Okay.
So see you later.
Yeah, see you later. As long as you come back in 5 minutes. Right. So, right. Right. So we're gonna have some interesting sound effects. Right. Right. Well, what I can do now, folks. There's no point here in German in the background. What I can do is I can mute Wojtek's mic. And so what we're going to do now? Well, what I'm going to do is I can show you a little bit of the what could we do? I know what we could do. We could sort of have a sneak peek of the rest. No, I shall show the Model G one. The Model G one. Right. So I'm going to open up. The INTP is like our food now. One viewer. I hope we don't lose the viewer. Yeah, okay, let's have a look at that. Keirsey's dichotomy is abstract versus concrete. So we sort of remind people of the fundamentals of KTT, Keirsey temperament theory. Right, that's that one, I believe. Right, so I'm now going to share the screen. Right, so abstract concrete. So we have abstract on top, concrete below. So this is a good way to sell sensing types from intuiting types. Figurative, literal, and some of these are, especially NFs, figurative. Analogic, indicative. Right, analogical, yeah. Oh, there. That guy that wrote Gödel, Escher, Bach, Hofstetler, or whatever his name is, he's got a video on YouTube called Analogy, the Core of Cognition. Yes, it's the core of cognition for an ENTP, yes. And then we've got there fictional, factual. More for NFs. Schematic, detailed, theoretical, empirical, general, specific, categorical, elemental, symbolic, signal. And of course, you can look at the ratios of that, and of course, there's certain contexts in which you're looking at a person. And then we've got how Keirsey, his temperaments. So we have words. Like I said, we've got the two abstract types, the NFs and the NTs, and they differ from whether they're cooperative or utilitarian. Now, a lot of NFs are not, don't see themselves as cooperative. But I actually think that a lot of the left-wing ones are cooperative because they sort of follow, because that's what they're exposed to. They're exposed to the left-wing propaganda in colleges, and they go along with it because that is the norm. They go along with that. The cooperative groups, group mentality, identity over achievement, all of those sort of things. It becomes the social norms of their subgroup that they are in. Groupthink, think in the same way. Whereas the NTs are more utilitarian. They will use a tool the way they think they use it rather than by the book. Although they'll do it by the book if they have to. Just gonna get that back on. Then we've got a most effective way rather than the by the book way, and SPs are like that as well, utilitarian, and SJs are cooperative. SJs are not necessarily conservative; they are conventional. So, for instance, if the convention is to have a welfare state and all that stuff, then that's what they're going to want, because they are, the essence of the SJ is being a security seeker, not being conservative, being a security seeker. Right, so now, what's this? Right, is this where he's talking about function types versus, oh yeah, this is quite interesting. He was talking about the difference between psychological functions versus intelligent roles. Right, this is where he explains why he's against the functions. Right, okay, here we go. Go through this. Yeah, I suppose that's empirical, yeah, compared to Keirsey with TiNx. Remember that Meyer's concepts of types was heavily influenced by Jung's psychological types, a book in which he presented the purely hypothetical notion that there are 4 psychological functions: sensation, intuition, feeling, and thinking, positing introversion and extroversion as the fundamental attitudes that separate personalities. Jung, oh, you're back. Right, yeah, you can put your own mic back on. I did that in order to reduce background noise.
Okay, here I am.
But yeah, I was just like talking people through like Keirsey's objections to functions.
Mm-hmm.
And we could go through, now that we've got some overtime, we can go through this.
Screen share, very good.
Right. So have we still got an hour if we have to go to an hour? Have we got?
Yeah, sure. I have to stand up tomorrow early because I have some stuff to do, but that's okay. I won't sleep until 12 o'clock anyway.
Yeah. The reason why is I think you'll be very interested in this is because this explains why Keirsey is against functions.
I heard he was a behaviorist, and his whole model is rather about social roles than actual cognition types.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. It's just like it's about essential motivator patterns. Now, Linda Behrens, his protege, doesn't use the term temperament. She uses the term essential motivator patterns. So I'll just quickly go on. So he is behaviorist in terms of the role variants, but in terms of the actual temperaments, he sees a lot of motivation. So for instance, here, he says what they value, what they want. Yeah. So they're their motivator pattern. So SPs, they impact, impulse, stimulation, generosity, virtuoso. So he's saying what they want, their motivations.
Yeah. Calm, reason, achievement, knowledge, difference, wizard. Exactly. That's NT.
Yep.
And I find this. I read it up some time ago because you got me interested in Keirsey again, and I like the differentiation between sage and wizard. Um, that NFs are aspiring to be the sage, the old wise one, and NTs are wanting to be wizards. And the wizard is
Right.
rather a powerful figure, also wise, but there's this additional point of being powerful through knowledge.
Right. One thing I'd like to point out is this word here. I'm gonna like super go in on this word for NFs, and that is because this can explain why they are susceptible to left-wing propaganda. Because left-wingers tend to put people into groups, and NFs like to have an identity. So you can. And what has happened in America is there is a situation where people are taught this victim culture, where it becomes identity over achievement. So identity instead of achievement, where people define themselves based on which subgroup they belong to, rather than their achievements. Whereas the conservatives would say, wait a minute, especially the libertarians, no, you define yourselves as an individual, not based on the group that you belong to.
Oh, come on. No, that's not true. Conservatives, US conservatives, are very much about identity and group thinking and tribalism. I have to disagree with you here.
That's a different kind of conservatism. That's not libertarianism.
Yeah, but as I said, you are thinking about libertarians. And did we have this in this hangout or the other one? There's a difference between economical left and right and socially left and right. These two are mostly independent for each other. For the traditional left versus right spectrum, they correlate, but there's a subgroup of people like the libertarians who are right wing on the economic scale, but liberal on the social scale.
You see, the thing is, there's another scale that you have to think about. Foreign policy.
Foreign policy, exactly, is the third one that is independent. That was mathematically identified as a third independent scale.
Right, and it's that particular scale that kills libertarians in the United States. Because so many conservatives say they agree, like someone like Sean Hannity says they agree with Rand Paul. They really like Rand Paul, and they don't even mind on the social issues. But as long as they're pro-life, they don't care about the drugs and the marriage and stuff. That's not a big. They don't care about. The only thing conservatives care about on social issues is pro-life. That is the only thing. Everything else, they are bendable to. But conservatives,
gun rights.
That's important. Gun rights. That's very important. And we won't mention a name, but we actually know someone who is actually going to defend her life with a gun. Right. Yeah. There we go. So, but also national security. But it's the national security thing of, like, say, that is killing Rand Paul. And the number of people who used to say about his father, "Oh, I love Ron Paul's economics," and they don't mind his social stance. I love Ron Paul's economics. It's his foreign policy. Foreign policy kills libertarians. It really does.
Where do libertarians stand on foreign policy? Non-interventive?
That's the problem. The problem is nuclear weapons change everything.
And you have to help me out here. So libertarians are normally non-interventive in
Oh
foreign
yes,
politics, and
yeah.
what's their stance on nuclear weapons?
Like there was a Peter Schiff Peter Schiff got in trouble for this with the Ron Paulites, and he is a big fan of the Ron and Rand Paul. When he was running for Senate in 2010, they asked him, "What would you do about Iran?" Now Peter Schiff is Jewish, and Iran wants to wipe out Israel, and they've actually said it, which for me is great. Which is great for me. I would do them just for doing that, because I would go INTP. You're a threat. Bye bye. Because I would be about eliminating threats. Because I would be about, if I know someone wants to do something,
but it's
I would book them out before they had the ability to do it.
But that's a pragmatical point of view, free of ideology. I don't care about whether Jew is Muslim or whatever tribe they belong to. Yes, Israel is threatened by all the states around them and was repeatedly called out and threatened with their very existence because they don't accept their existence as a state. So Jewish people have a point here. Israelis have a point here. Yeah.
Wait, but so Schiff got a lot of blowback from other libertarians because he said that he would bomb Iran if he knew that they were developing a weapon. And the other libertarians were saying, no, you shouldn't do that, because he was. So he actually, and he's an ENTP, Peter Schiff. But again, because of the Jewish thing, he would actually say, no, if I know they're going to have a nuke, and then I'm going to do a strike if I know I can take it out. And that's what he said in the when he ran for Senate. He didn't win because there was a lot of shenanigans on the Republican side. So, for instance, there was like a convention, like everybody else got to show their video. Right, his video mysteriously, it won't play. Right, and then. Anyways,
but what's the stance of libertarians to nuclear weapons? You mean actually nuclear weapons of other states and states that are developing nuclear weapons?
Well, the thing is, what they end up saying is, the Soviet Union had a load of nuclear weapons and nothing happened. Yeah, but they weren't mental though. They didn't believe in an afterlife.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
Mutually assured destruction doesn't stop. Crazy people.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how reasonable the Iranian government would actually be with nuclear weapons? Who knows? I mean, when you go for principles, then everyone should have the right to bear arms. And when we transfer that to the international stage, why shouldn't everyone?
That's right. It's like it was like we just come out and just be blatant about it. Yeah, you do, but we're not going to let you have it because we're saying
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
But that's fine. But like I would recognise the contradiction, but they would say tough, our national security comes first.
Yeah, I mean, sure, a world where every state would have, especially like extremist states. Whether Iran is really an extremist state, I mean, it gets a bit overblown in the media because there's a certain way we want to portray the states, or the powers that be want to portray the states. But of course, the pragmatical and reasonable thing is that as few states as possible have actual weapons that are so powerful. Yeah, and I mean, you can never rule out that Iran wouldn't give these nuclear weapons to other groups, right?
That's the thing.
Yeah,
and also the Iranian government is very complex with the way it's arranged. because you have the democratic part, and then you've got the Revolutionary Guard, and you've got the Ayatollah.
Yes.
And then in between you've got sort of counts. This is what will probably happen. Now, we INTPs, we know there's gonna be a nuclear weapon in future, because getting the material, it's the actual refining of the uranium into weapons grade plutonium or whatever. That is technologically, that is going to become a lot easier in the future and be able to make a bomb. And what will happen is they will put a bomb on a ship, and before that ship can be inspected, it will go off about 10 miles away from New York.
No, they wouldn't attack America. I think they would go to Tel Aviv and bomb.
They'll do it simultaneously. They would do it simultaneously. What they would do Tel Aviv, New York, and Los Angeles, and San Francisco, Bay Area.
I don't really think they would mess with America that way. That they would directly attack them. I mean, a lot of that anti-American and it's just inner politics. The politicians in Iran themselves are not that crazy. It's just inner politics, like a lot of American politicians do it in their own country to portray themselves as strong leaders. I don't think they would be so unreasonable as to attack the most powerful nation, the military nation in the world.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, but Iran, there wouldn't be a smoking gun in terms of pointing evidence towards Iran. There'd just be nukes gone off, and Iran could say, "Oh, nothing to do with us."
Yeah. That's the basic problem of this. Who will get these weapons? But I mean, on the other hand, we have Pakistan, who has nuclear weapons, and as so far, they have the Al Qaeda on their own land, and so far nothing happened.
Well, you see, the thing is, they've got a very strong military tradition. But they had a lot of, like, within what they call it, the ISI, their intelligence service. They had a lot of people that were sympathetic with Al Qaeda in the ISI.
Yeah.
I mean, like the fact that they knew that Osama bin Laden was living in Abbottabad.
Yeah.
Which was where a lot of retired generals were living.
Yeah, I mean, no one can tell me that they didn't know about this, because, yeah. But I mean, but on an international stage, they are reasonable, because they are not stupid people who would do unreasonable things on this level.
Well, that's what we assume. But we don't. I just think that at some point, some people who want to die, who want to go to the afterlife, paradise, at some point they're going to set it off. But my point is, before the ships can be inspected with...
But these people are just grunts. They are grunts on the battlefield of this extremist ideology. And the ones in power are very well aware that it's just an ideology that is... very malleable, and I don't think that they would try to, because it would be their death sentence, even if they succeed in detonating a bomb in New York Harbor or whatever. They know America has intercontinental nuclear missiles, and they would bomb Iran out of existence.
But I'm not even sure they would. I'm not even sure that they would, because of all the surrounding countries, and
yeah. But what are the surrounding countries? Iraq, Syria. What else is there? Some Tajikistans.
But yeah, and a lot of oil that comes from there.
Yes.
So
The Gulf region is the most oil-rich region in
Yeah.
the world with the greatest
Yeah.
reserves
Yeah,
of all. So,
and also any bombs that had hit Iran, the fallout would go towards Israel.
yes, that's another thing. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, but then take a full-scale conventional strike. That would be enough,
oh
because
yeah.
America overpowers the Iranian army like 1 to 100 or something.
I mean,
When
yeah.
so they would basically level the country, put in some other government that is neutral or at least friendly to them, like they did in Iraq, and end of business.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
and the powers in place of Iran know this, and they don't want this happen to them.
yeah, I mean, I would have, I would have kept bombing Saddam Hussein, and I wouldn't have removed him from power. I was saying, no, you work for us.
Mm.
We want you to invade Iran. You work for us.
Yeah, well, he did work for the US.
Yeah, but that, I would like seriously, like to be like bombing, like destroy,
Mm.
like some of his presidential palaces. No, no, you work for us. You are our female dog. If you get what
Yeah,
I
and
mean.
he was the CIA's bloodhound, and but then he got somewhat crazy, and I mean he was crazy in the beginning, but he got
No, well,
uncomfortable.
what happened with him is that nobody wanted to tell him the truth about the status of his military,
Yeah.
and so he got an overinflated view of the military, his military capability.
Yeah.
And he was really stupid because they were working on a nuclear weapon, but he decided to invade Kuwait first. He could have had the nuclear weapon first, and that would have been a game changer.
Mm. If they really work on a nuclear weapon is a topic up for discussion.
What I mean is he gave up the project because he would have
Mm,
taken like another 5 years. Now,
mm,
before that, something really, really interesting happened, and you were like this. Do you remember the Iraqi supergun affair? Gerald Bull in South Africa invented this huge gun that
mhm.
was used to would shoot satellites into space.
Okay, no, I
And
never heard about that.
the Iraqi supergun, and they
Mm,
actually got like the parts of it were like found in the docks by
mhm.
customs in the UK. Yeah, Gerald Bull and Marlon Brando played Gerald Bull in a small film. Amazing South African accent by Marlon Brando. Oh yeah, the Iraqi supergun.
I'm not sure about that. I read some things about the most powerful guns, and there are physical limitations to how powerful you can make a gun really, because I mean,
Oh, it was really long. It was like
mm,
really, really, really long.
but I mean, there are material limitations to what a gun is able to withstand
Oh yeah.
to shoot a projectile at
Uh,
a distance. The most powerful guns were made, I think, in World War II by the Germans, actually.
yeah.
And then there's the Big Bertha,
Yeah.
and they have, I think, they are in the range of 120 kilometers or something. But this is nothing compared to what missiles are able to do.
Oh yeah.
So it's a technology that is not very, and the accuracy of that weapon is also not that great. I mean,
But
it's a great weapon for terror, for terrorizing uh, the civilians, but not a very good weapon strategic wise, like
oh,
for military strategic
oh yeah.
aims.
I think it was for launching satellites. But yeah, if you check out Gerald Bull, in
Mm.
fact, you can have a look now. Gerald Bull, because actually the INTP audience watching this will be actually interested in the Iraqi supergun. Gerald Bull.
I will just supergun.
Yeah, and if you find anything interesting, if you share the screen, then the audience can see.
I'm doing this on my laptop, so
Okay.
yeah. Project Babylon.
I don't know about that. I just know about the Iraqi supergun and Gerald Bull.
That's 1960s. Okay.
No, I remember it might be like early 90s. It was like a couple of years before the Gulf War. They found the sections of the muzzle in the UK. The customs guy. And then, what's this? Yeah, Gerald Bull, a South African gun designer, cannon designer.
Project Supergun. Okay, that is probably it. Let's see. 350 millimeter supergun, components of 100 millimeter, and supergun propellant. But I'm very skeptical of this. If this is really something that okay,
Have you found out
100 kilometers range, 7-inch.
I think if you look for Gerald Bull,
Um,
he was the cannon designer, Gerald Bull. Marlon Brando played him in a film. Now, maybe he was bullshitting Saddam Hussein.
I'm very skeptical of this because, from my understanding, this wouldn't really be feasible. Like constructing a big gun like that. I researched this topic several years ago, and I don't have the details in my head, but I was curious about how big you can make guns actually, and what range do they have. And all of them have like ranges of 100 kilometers, and that's not so much compared to missiles, and the accuracy is bad. It's interesting for ship guns, because then you can bombard an area from the sea, and but there are also limits to how big the gun can be on a ship. And gunboats are outdated. They even the US don't do really large gunboats anymore. They were popular in World War II when missiles were still a new thing, or
and in fact, they were very vulnerable in World War II. In fact, World War II, the aircraft carriers took over. But yeah, yes. I mean, the ability of submarines to take out battleships.
Yes, that's I mean, this is always interesting when technology catches up and changes the game. Like, for example, I think the military history prime example is the English longbow, and how they were able to defeat heavy armored knights. Heavily armored knights, mainly from French, when you had the 100-Year War, I think this was around this time, where a nobility which were trained to fight from childhood, and they were like a super weapon. And then you have just longbows.
Yep.
And every kid that or every youngster that can is strong enough to use a longbow can kill a armored knight, because it has the impact enough impact force to pierce heavy armored knights.
Yeah, and they actually had different heads on as well. They had like armor piercing ones, like different. And I remember seeing this on they would make. They had to train with the longbow as well to get them really strong in the shoulder. And also you could like fire and have 6 of them in the air before the first one had landed.
Yes. And this happens in history all the time. And like submarines is the other prime example. And aircraft carriers also,
they're in trouble now as well.
Yeah. And I'm thinking the next big thing are drones, and drone fights, automated independent drones that operate without supervision are the future of warfare.
Oh yeah.
So we will see a lot of that. I'm very curious about China in this regard. They have the industrial capacity to
Yes.
produce mass amounts of these kinds of things. So yeah, we are looking at interesting
But
times ahead.
what you could also have with those drones is now you've got, if people want a really good website by Carlo Kopp, he's got a background in physics and computer science. There's lots of stuff about directed energy weapons on. It's called ozairpower.net, and
Like what? Like Gauss guns or
proper lasers and
okay.
particle beam weapons
Yeah,
are
I,
on.
I researched that for a while too. It's interesting.
Yeah,
But they have limited. They have limited. They are good as an anti-missile system.
yeah.
They could, for example, actually destroy the advantage of intercontinental nuclear missiles, because you could destroy them with lasers like this. But
Thinking of that Reagan, one of the best military bluffs ever was Star Wars. And then
yeah,
they actually set up these fake demonstrations. As the Soviet Union thought it was real, and they went, oh my, and because they tried to like mobilize resources to counteract it, and they
yeah,
worked on some of their own like lasers and stuff. And Gorbachev was like, no, you've got to stop, because he knew that they could not compete with what they thought the Americans were doing. The actual thought that they were actually doing SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative.
yeah,
It was a massive, amazing bluff,
yeah.
fantastic bluff.
No. Yeah, history is great. That's. I mean, I guess you're a history buff too. I'm interested in these great patterns. I'm not interested in which year and month was the
Yeah.
battle of whatever, but the patterns and also the repeated patterns of
Oh
history
yeah.
and what's happening.
There's an expression. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
Yes, that's good. That's good. I didn't hear it before, but that's good.
Right.
um,
So what we can do, because we've got maybe another hour.
Oh, we are trading off. How could this happen? Oh,
Is I'd like to get your thoughts on this, on Keirsey, on the functions, and on his, because I think he's slightly misinterpreting them, but he does have a point. It's more. Go there.
yeah, I remember reading this. Let me finish. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I agree with the N abstract versus concrete difference that he made, and that Myers-Briggs is misinterpreting that, but I don't know why he talks about purely abstract ideas. What's going on in people's head? I know that this is a problem if you want to do empirical research, because you can't. Now we can actually with EEG and other techniques, but it is. You can imply what's going on in people's heads, and that's I think more interesting and more defining of people of a person's, of an individual's type, than than outward perspective. I think he focuses too much on it being subjective, and I disagree with that, because these cognitive styles are not subjective. They are objective. This is how people think. This is how they decide. This is how they perceive. So, and you can not prove it in a strict way, but you can find evidence based on induction. No, what supportive evidence for that? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just gone a bit. I'll get it back in a moment. I was just
with sensing types concentrating more on concrete things. Yeah, totally agree. And the description of introverted types being the ones that are more in their head, more concerned with ideas and their inner worlds. Yeah, here's a point there. Yeah. That I don't think that all introverts are idea people. So, and yeah, to make some of the guesswork out of temperament theory, I base my type definitions on what people do well with their skilled actions. Yeah, what I call their intelligent roles, which are observable. And there is a problem with that, because what people show as their skills, as their behavior, can be learned, can be misleading of their actual personality type, because there are ESFJ scientists. Probably there is maybe one ESFJ nuclear scientist out there somewhere. And
they would be, for them, for an ESFJ to be a nuclear scientist, they would have to be almost an INTP, and maybe doing it because their parents were something. There'd have to be a lot of reasons, I would think.
When actually, now that you say that, I think I maybe know a physicist who maybe SFJ. He was third generation physicist.
Right, yeah.
He was his grandfather was a physicist and his father was a physicist. Yeah. And he displayed a lot of, he did make movies, like self-made movies, and acted in it. That was his hobby. And he was very sociable in this friendly, and he may be in ISFJ. No, even in ESFJ. I could imagine it. Huh. But yeah, whatever. You can also have EST. I think there were ESTPs who were physicists, and to pin a personality on their social roles. I mean, Keirsey does differentiate between. I mean, it doesn't mean that their profession will be their personality type. He says that it's their natural leanings, like their natural social role. Yeah. Even if they are in a profession that is not in congruency with their social role, they will try to fill a niche, in this. A niche in this profession that is in.
It says they have to try harder. When it's something that doesn't naturally fit their personality, they have to try harder.
Yeah. But also there are MBTI statistics in professions, and there is basically every profession has a similar distribution of types like the general population. That's one thing that I heard. I actually read papers that would disagree with this view. Like there was a paper done from an engineering school that typed and followed a year of students throughout their courses of the years, and there was INTPs, for example, were largely overrepresented, and
Oh
introverted types in general were overrepresented, and of course the SFJs were
yeah,
underrepresented.
yeah. I mean, I mean that stuff before about all the types are the same, and that's bullshit. There are going to be differences, just like in sports. Most of them are SPs. It's just like I mean, like Hannah says that most of the people in philosophy are NTPs. And even Jack Aaron said that as well, that most of the people on his course were NTPs.
Yeah, but not all of them, and
it's just like in the acting profession, most are going to be SPs.
Huh.
I
mean, are they? I mean, when we use Keirsey to type them, then of course most of them are SPs. But are they really, like, from, let's say, a socionics perspective or an MBTI perspective?
Well, they do for instance, I've done this with like the ESFP profiles with it's like comparing them, like, and I did that diagram where I compared ESFP with Model G, and I like showed that like all these FE things match. But what I thought is ironic about this is because the MBTI profiles match the Keirsey profiles, and Keirsey says that his profiles are more empirical. Because they are the same, he's actually supporting their profiles because they are consistent with his, which is more empirical.
I mean, there are differences. They are not absolutely the same, but most, if you would take a group of people and type them by the temperament sorter, and then use the standard formula for MBTI, I don't know, but I guess there would be like 90% overlap.
Or if you do it as somebody who really knows both systems, and they interview the person, and they like show them the profiles and get them to go through the profiles. And I think Dario said that in the SI Hangouts, the 4-hour SI Hangout, but he's in it for 2 hours 40 minutes. So that when they type people, they do an inventory. Before they did like the ISCA, the Interstrengths Cognitive Assessments, they'll do that. That's they'd say that's one data point. Another data point is temperament, so essential motivator pattern. And then another one is interaction style. Oh yeah, that's it. So the inventory is one data point. Essential motivator pattern with a cognitive style is another data point, and then the third data point is giving that person those profiles, and to really look through and ask the person which profile they connect with most. So sort of self-discovery. And I believe in self-discovery as long as someone's being honest, because that's what we do to work out our own type, is we did self-discovery.
But I think INTPs have the least trouble with being introspective and self-analyzing, but a lot of types don't do a lot of people in general don't do a lot of self-analyzing, and they couldn't place themselves in these categories, and probably would guess wrong. So that's a huge problem right there. I think there are, especially for internet-based tests,
Oh, yeah.
there are so many mistypes in all the groups. Everyone wants to be intuitive. I recently looked up our statistics from the MBTI people themselves on. They do it like this. They give them the test. They let a professional type them, and then they allow them to type themselves. And in 80% of the cases it matches, but in some cases it doesn't match. And when you look at the statistics of which dichotomy is the most not agreed upon, it's N versus S, and all people that were typed S by the professional thought rather that they were an intuitive, because intuitives are great, because intuitives are the intelligent people, because it's something that is socially desirable.
Yeah, I think if they phrase the questions better
Yes.
for intuitive, that would help.
Yes. Because, of course, when you ask a thing like, I have troubles understanding metaphorical content.
Oh, no.
That's a stupid question. That's from designing a questionnaire. That's a really stupid question.
That's a terrible question.
Yeah. And even if they would, and a lot of people, I think, would say, yes, but I have intuition. A few people would describe themselves as purely sensorical, because that sounds like they are primitive. And they could rename this dichotomies. Like, let's say we call intuitive cloud heads, and that would and sensors real, concrete, down to earth people.
Yeah. Concrete to concrete abstract.
This is a very that's what I like Keirsey in this regard, because it's a much more neutral and maybe even more precise description of what intuition is. It's abstraction mostly.
Yeah, and like I said, we've looked at INTP profile and we looked at the INTJ profile. You know, we can tell which is which. Like, so his mastermind profile, the mastermind submits every idea to the test of usefulness.
Yes.
And then he's talking about systems all the while for the architect rational. And this confirms it. Is the architect rational profile was based on his son, and Victor typed his son as LII.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's but Socionics
in a 4-hour-long interview.
I heard that Socionics typing is a lot of times different from MBTI typing, or at least Keirsey in Socionics. There is an interesting disagreement between ENTPs and INTJs. Most people who would subscribe to the Keirsey INTP profile subscribe to the Socionics ILI profile. There's I can.
Oh, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy, because if they go through the profiles that I've gone through, if I went through it with them, I would be able to direct them to. And this is the difference between the way I read things, which is far too slowly. Where if we actually write down, look at this, 1341. Now, how long did it take before I got to the end of the page? 1417. So I spent over half an hour thinking about one page.
Yeah, but that's because of the information density, and INTPs are great in making informational dense products, like you with your diagrams, and that's something I appreciate, because this is also my style. I hate I hate a lot of blah 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 that has little actual structural content. Let me see if I can find this statistics about what I talked earlier. You can fill in because I will be busy now.
I'm gonna tell you what. So what I'm gonna do, folks, is when I do the, I'm gonna do some graphics for SIFX and SITX, and what I'm gonna do is, these are from Victor's profiles. I'm gonna actually do the bullet points in red that don't match the Keirsey profile and the Behrens profiles. And what I expect to happen is that over 80% of the bullet points will be a match, and you'll just get the odd thing, which is like SLI doesn't like to do the same thing over and over again, something like that. And it's like one or two bullet points that are like, what? That are just like features of the model. But there's a load of other bullet points that are like, where it says for the SLI, SITX, although distrustful to new methods. Right there, boom. Distrustful to new methods. That is a Guardian trait. And then stuff about, and then for the ISFJ, for SEI, so SIFX, it said, wow, you got your German porn star mustache on there.
What?
German porn star mustache.
What the hell? I just sent you this.
It just
table.
popped up. I had a notification that popped up, and the way it was framed.
Ah, okay. I see.
It didn't have the goatee beard on.
Can you put it up on your screen?
Oh, we want to put a diagram on. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stop that. And tricky. Right. Excellent. What I can do is, because I've got the widget open. Oh, this flipping thing that
Yes.
I totally disagree with, because people who not use their brains, and also the people who looked at the profiles probably don't know about temperament.
Yeah, but that's okay, because they are not pre-influenced by knowledge of these types. They just intuitively type themselves by their type descriptions.
Yeah, but I don't think they look properly. I think it was sociologists that actually did it, and I think, but you see, the role variant profiles that they're looking at are subtypes of the temperament. And like, you've got the book, it's like 30 pages on each temperament that talks about what they want, their desires, their values, all of that kind of stuff. Where,
yeah, sure. I mean, if you go in depth, it's different thing. I don't know exactly what was shown to these people. Like I think it was some summary, but it's interesting anyway.
yeah, I mean, let's see if I can save the image. Or maybe I can do something like this. No. You see, if I open up the proper web browser, it might cause a problem. Because I've got the,
okay.
because I've got laptops in 2009.
I will refine it and send it or share it here.
I might. What I can try and do is, it might work. I'm going to try and share it.
Okay.
And see what it looks like.
You will probably go robotic now.
Not very clear. Not brilliantly clear.
Oh, no. No one can read that. Just put on the browser, okay? So your voice will be robotic for a while, but
yeah, okay, I'll try it. Right, I'm going to open the browser. Right, and what I'll do is, right, okay, I'm going to open the browser. Here we go. But yeah, I mean, we went through INTJ, and
someone I know from the internet told me that INTPs are actually the ILIs in socionics.
oh
And
god, look at it properly.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with it less because function-wise, how does an INTP has extroverted thinking as their auxiliary function? That's as their creative function. That's just not right there. That's just not what we know about INTPs.
Yeah, I mean, we just looked at the mastermind profile, and it mentioned the stuff like it was. I mean, I mean, I'll send it to you. That it is stuff there about the FE polar and the FI mobilizing, and all that stuff about the mate and like that. I mean, that is like such a massive match to ILI. Like it talks about the contingency planning where into the future we can say, okay, that's NI. And then it talks about the TE stuff like submits every idea to the test of usefulness, and then it must have a practical application. And then when it talks about the architect rational, it talks about systems, and they love models, and they'll think about something again and again and again and again. So you should never confuse.
For someone who is disagreeing with making assumptions, the projective assumptions about the inner processes of individuals, he does a lot of assumptions like this.
Well, I think it's based on observation, because based on himself and his son.
Yeah. Okay. He backs it always up with some observations and anecdotes from his war times.
Yeah. I mean, by the time he did Please Understand Me Too, it was like he'd been doing it for like 50 years. And his son would, when he was working in computer science, his son had a lot of experience of INTJs.
Yeah, that sounds. I think ISTJs and INTJs are probably the most computer science people.
Oh, did you say ISTJ?
Yeah, really. I saw like statistics on that. There are a lot of ISTJs, computer scientists.
Jeff said that his IT guy is where he works. I won't say the name because it's got a non-disclosure agreement, a social policy, a social media policy. Yeah, his IT guy's ISTJ.
Yeah, and I mean that they have the right mindset for it, not for the creative work maybe, but for just pure coding.
The algorithms. Go through the algorithm. SITO.
Go through the arguments that they are better at it than intuitives.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So that's your diagram. I'm going to put that in the. I'll put it in the sociology folder actually. No, I'll put it in the Keirsey folder. Right, so this is the so-called, what is it? Okay, I'll put this KTT versus Socionics crazy comparison table. These people must be ignoramuses to come up with such a typo. You need to read the profiles closely, use their brains.
I mean, of course, there will be a lot of broad mistyping, but there are correlations that are pretty clear. But the interesting part are the cases where the correlation is very weak, like when people are typing themselves differently in both systems, because in these cases we might learn something about the differences.
Oh, this table actually was done by I think this actually worked by the socionists were given the profiles
Mm-hmm.
and were asked which type is this in socionics. That's what makes it all so remarkable to me. And I think they were actually given the profiles to read, and they gave all these crazy results. And even then, they're all over the place, because because with typing, if you're doing by typing methods, you're going to have a problem there, because you don't know whether the difference is profile or the diagnostic method. And Victor thinks that diagnostic methods are only 2 letters accurate, as you said, like 50%. Because you know the salty test? I came out as EII on that. The salty 160 test is really long socionics test, and I came out as EII.
EII, okay.
I did a video there's a video that was like 3 hours with Hannah and Maria and all those.
INFJ.
Yes, NIFX. No, FINX, yeah. Right, now I've got to try and open it up. Right. Hormonal EMPs. Keirsey. Crazy KTV versus socionics. Crazy comparison table. Yeah, I think they just looked at profiles. I hope it was just typing, because if they looked at the profiles, that's crazy.
No, they just looked at the profiles. I'll be right back.
Okay. Crazy. Must be a language. Must have been badly translated. Right, is this it? Right, I'll show folks this. Yeah, we're seriously doing some serious digression. Right, here we go. Right. Mentor and ENFP. Well, that's not going to happen. The interaction style is different.
Okay, I'm back. So, what we have here? Did you explain what? Wait.
Well, this is wrong as well with lyricist and humanist. It's obvious which is which when you look at the Keirsey profile. Because, like, for the healer, it's always talking about ethics all the while, and for the counselor idealist, it's talking about NI things like precognition, extrasensory perception. It talks about how they are ethically sophisticated in terms of looking at something from lots of different angles, whereas the healer is very, very ethical.
So basically, just to explain to eventual viewers what is happening here, socionics people who identify with the types in the rows were asked to read Keirsey descriptions of types. I guess this was a summary description of each type, so because they would have to read 16 descriptions, and they have to pick the one they identified most with. I guess there was summary.
You see, it's not as bad as what I thought it was. How bad I thought it was. This is what I thought happened. I thought they gave 100 socionists the Keirsey profiles, and then asked them to identify the profiles based on what they'd read.
I'm not sure about which way it was. That's what I had in mind. Let's see it.
Hopefully it was your way round, because the people who
Hopefully.
came up with these results are crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Oh no, it's the way you proposed it. We proposed the 16 descriptions of Keirsey types to 108 sociologists and asked them to identify the socionic types in this description. So it's actually this way around.
Yes, but did they give them the actual full, please understand me too?
I guess not, because that would be like pages and pages of things that they would have to read. And
oh, well, that ruins it then.
yes.
To me, that totally invalidates the study, because in order to make it proper, it's like read the whole book. Read the whole book and understand the theory. Like, for instance, we went through order and organization for the difference between NTJs and NTPs. I mean, we went through. Let's have a look for what did we get?
The red ones are the most interesting ones because they mark the most deviations from the expected correlations. So the red ones are the ones where most of the socionics people thought this was the type that is actually described here instead of the one that would be expected. And the blue ones mark the ones that where the correlation is very well, where they hit bullseye. So INTP wasn't a big brainer, obviously. INTP and the researcher is the same. ESTJs and the administrator was also very good. INFJs were very good. ISFJs, ISFPs, ISTJs, and ISTPs. Where the most deviations were ENFPs, or the other way around. People thought that the ENFJ description fit the ENFP description of Keirsey better.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Because Keirsey talks about directive and informing, and the way that, because they have the temperament in socionics, EJ, the extroverted judger, and that very much matches like the directive, because the ENFJ and Keirsey is the teacher. They are directive. They're an initiating, in charge type.
This is really weird. Why this
ESFP as well. ENFP with ESFP.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I've like looked at that profile a lot. ESFP. We're looking at things like
ESTP seems to be also a big thing, or rather, the ESFP, the politician in socionics, is identified most with the ESTP in Keirsey. What's the nickname of the ESTP in Keirsey?
Promoter.
Promoter. Okay. And let's get to the interesting part. ENTPs.
I mean, when I showed Jeff the ESFP profile, he said it pretty much matched him, apart from the odd thing that was just like weird. But like he never looked at like, I mean, Jeff has an ESTP son. He never looked at Victor's politician profile and said, "Oh, this is like the ESTP. This is nothing like the ESFP." He's the one, and I did that thing where it matched, where it talked about their people skills, and it says in Victor's profile, even good in show business. I mean, at no point does Jeff say this sounds more like the ESTP.
This is the most interesting part is, I guess, INTP is or INTJ, the analyst, is identified with the INTP. But wait, they are using
They're using MBTI across the top.
Yeah.
And the Socionics one's on the left, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Yeah, but then this is correct, right? Then this shouldn't be red because the INTJ is the INTP.
Let's have a
You
look.
see what I mean?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Or
that's right.
Yeah.
So they've messed up their own bloody table.
Yeah. That's weird. So let's point out the creators of this thing didn't know about the GP switch.
Yeah, totally messed it up.
So okay, this is
let's see if we can check that with all the other introverts. See if they have totally messed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. You're right. Look, they've got Inspector ISTJ with ISTJ.
Yeah.
They've ballsed it up totally.
Yeah. They think ISTJ, the inspector, is the ISTJ in MBTI notation, and they marked it out as blue, as the expected correlations.
That's not the expected correlation.
No. And all right.
It shows you they don't know what they're doing.
This is weird, because then it shouldn't be blue. It should be like very red, because you have the mediator, the ISFP in Socionics, which is the ISFJ in MBTI, and most people identified it with ISFP in Keirsey's system. This is your description of this table was very very well chosen when you saved that. This is messed up. I mean, seriously, that's possible. I mean, ISFP Socionics is gleich ISFP MBTI and not ISFJ, okay? They remark on that, but
look what they've got there. INTP with the critic. No.
Yeah, but the real correlation of INTP is right. It's the analyst, the INTJ.
Yeah. But let's it's where they've got it in black. You know, you know where they said most remarkable real correlations, and they've got 22 for the critic with Keirsey's architect rational. But like we've just been through there, they're totally different.
Yeah, and there are also 18 and 14 for the ENTP and INTJ. For the ENTP in Keirsey. But no one is following us right now when we talk about this. But
we've got one viewer.
If you're watching this, Jonathan, hello. So if you are watching this,
Join us. In
yeah.
fact, see if it's, but yeah, I mean, if he is, what we got here? That's the name. Schultz. Is that
I will have
Alicia?
Alicia. Oh, Alicia.
Oh, we won't mention her. We shouldn't mention her name anyway. Damn it.
Ah. I can notify her. Wait, you can see people who are watching this live.
No, I just know. It just says we have 2 viewers.
Ah, okay. And this means that they are watching it right now. It's
Yes,
like
yes.
okay.
They're watching it on YouTube on a live watch page.
Alicia, come in.
Well, I don't know that it's. I don't know that it's. I don't know who's watching. It's just that I saw her name on my Facebook widget, and.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this crazy table. When I mean, I'll be doing my own.
Yeah, me too. I want to analyze the shit out of this. I would like to do actual R values for decoration for each letter. That would be interesting, and for small groups and different other things.
What I'm going to do is because within the Model G graphics I've got is when I do the Victor's SI types. So I'll colour the bullet points in red that don't fit, and so I'll be intellectually honest. But I think I don't think there'll be that many. I just think the ones that will be in red will just be quirks of his temperament system, where he has all the SI and NI DOMs as lazy, and so therefore in the SLI profile it will put something about. They'll put one little thing about them being lazy, yet the whole of the other profile will be consistent with the Guardian inspector because it's like Victor does 2 things. He observes what he actually sees in real life, but then it does have little quirks because it's what's predicted by his model. And I think that's what Alf said as well. Alfred Blessing, Tanash Sanger, that Victor, it does look very much a lot at behavior. So you'll get these little quirks.
It's all messed up when I try to get at least the temperaments right. When you compare rows to each other and see how much they get the temperament right. Oftentimes there is like NF and SPs are not even the temperament is right. It would be interesting to analyze the variance of each socionics types, how much they spread, which type has the most variance. Just from looking at it, I would say it's ENTP, the researcher, and
how do you mix up ENTP with INTJ?
I have no idea. It would be interesting to see the actual type descriptions that the people had.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're probably like really short ones.
They should have been really short ones, and maybe the people that had to read this 108 socionics people maybe just flew over them and didn't read them on a whole.
I mean,
can imagine that.
If you're doing it in the study, why wouldn't you want to read the full profiles?
Hey, you have access to a lot of socionics people and auto typology people. Let's do this right. Let's do a study like this to compare.
We are sort of doing it in the videos, where I mean, what I can do is with the Model Gs, do the bits in red. Oh, he's gone. Oh, he'll be back. Maybe some. Anyhow, we got to get off this table thing. We got to get back to the. once he's back, we've got to get back to the. We've got to get back to the. To this. All right, I'll talk about it. Right then, what do we do? INTPs must not be architects of curricula of corporations of all kinds of theoretical systems. Right there. The mastermind profile submits every idea to the test of usefulness. And this is all about models and designing. Right, okay. His battery on his iPad died. Right. And I'm just going to type. Right. Excellent. Be right back. Very good. Oh, that's not right. It's this one. Right. Configuration, structure. Architecture is the science of spatial relationships. Oh, that relates further to what Wojtek was saying, that temporal with the INTJ, spatial with the INTP. All kinds of theoretical systems. Engineer structural models. Now, of course, when you're talking about organization there, because we've seen the other section, we know what he's getting at by organization, as opposed to order. And again, this is why people need to read the whole temperament chapter. But here, finding out that most others are faking an understanding of the laws of nature. Design systemic structures and engineer structural models. Right. Let's see what the next one is. Right. Right. Whereas the mastermind rationals are would-be masters of order, the architect rationals would be masters of organization. Now, if you didn't know the difference between that, that might cause some confusion. But I can go ahead to show you that this is the INTP. Right. What we got here? Here we go. Okay. This is. Yeah. Yeah. Right. You know, we were talking before about INTJ.
Yeah.
What's put here? External reality in itself is unimportant, a mere arena for checking out the usefulness of ideas. What is important is that the underlying structures of the universe be uncovered and articulated, and that whatever is stated about the universe be stated correctly, with coherence and without redundancy. So you can see the difference between
and that's, I mean, that's a perfect description of INTPs. It's in contrast to INTJs, who are worried about efficiency and applicability. But let's go back to the Keirsey study. You could do one of two options. You could you have a lot of people who would be willing to participate, and maybe compare Keirsey to Socionics. Yeah.
Well, I could delegate that task to you because I'm doing the
Yeah, I will think. I will think up something. This would be actually interesting. I would like post it in. Best if we post it in several groups, so we get a lot of participants. And I have to think up something simple that will.
So if we want, I mean, I am going through these profiles with people. I mean,
yeah, but just to make actual statistics on this, because
right.
in an explorative process like
Right.
this, you you can only get so much out of it, and this would interest me. I could take like type descriptions from, let's say, Wikisocion, and for Keirsey.
Oh yeah, I had a look at ESI on Wikisocion, and that should be matched up with ISFP because it talks about impulsivity about 5 different times, and so it's obvious that it's like an SP temperament. The one that is harder for people to see unless they know what they're looking for, and if they know temperament, they can tell that the SEI is the ISFJ. If they know temperament, if they don't know temperament, they won't know what to look for. So, for instance, when it talks about in the SEI profile about the SEI likes to rigidly plan the future and becomes upset when the future doesn't turn out as they expected, then okay, that's Guardian. But you see, again, because of the difference in the way SI is defined. But if people look at the SEI profile carefully, then they will see it as the ISFJ in Keirsey.
I will think of something. I will have some time until.
It'll take a lot of work. It'll take a lot of work to get people. I'm sort of doing it on a basis of like proving to people that they're similar, and I'll be. Also, what I think what we're going to do is for the hangouts with Dario is I'm going to put the bullet points in red that I think don't match up. And then we will discuss those in the hangouts.
Oh, that would be cool. His opinion on that, yeah.
Because we won't have enough time to discuss all the bullet points. We're just the ones that differ.
Yeah. Ben, I would have to make a break here. It's nearly 12 o'clock here.
Well, so, if we can get this done in like 5 minutes, like just go through this.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's like it goes to there and then it's like 2 lines at the top of this page.
Yeah, sure.
There. So if you would just like go through this and you tell me what you think of this paragraph here.
Okay, I read this one previously. Yeah, I like the last one. After finding out that most others are faking understanding the laws of nature, ENTPs are likely to think of themselves as master organizers who must pit themselves against nature and society in unending effort to create organization out of the raw. Yes.
And of course, now we know what he means by organization because we looked at the other section in the book.
Yeah.
Of course, the people who were looking at the profiles probably didn't look at that bit.
No, I guess not. So yeah, I mean, we are kind of preachy in that way, INTPs, about the right understanding of.
In fact, we're doing it now.
Nature.
In terms of this matches this.
Yes, yes, and we got preachy about the designers of this study.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So, what about this bit here? Well, all kinds of theoretical systems. Yeah. Design systemic structures, engineer structural models. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What you said before, spatial. About spatial
yeah,
relationships.
right. Spatial relativity. That's what I had in the back of my mind when we were doing the thing about arrangements and organizing. And yeah, it's rather spatial. Like and why I got so interested in this is because I have this thought in the back of my head since some period of time that TI is somehow connected to spatial awareness, that we are using parts of our brain that are normally used for solving spatial problems for our TINE understanding of the world. Like we run it through algorithms in our brain or specialized areas in our brain that are made for having an view of where things are spatially, maps, orientational thinking, like and
It's
that NIs are having to do with visual processing. So NI people use parts of the brain that are normally reserved for visual processing, and they are using it for thinking, for abstract thinking. I think I have this hypothesis in the back of my brain, and I found some not evidence but support in from various other things that I read. And like for example, Elon Musk is. I was so surprised about that. Elon Musk, probable INTJ, in his book, he talks about exactly that. Part of his brain seems to that is normally reserved for visual processing. He's using for thinking, and you can. He does even the same analogy that I was thinking of. Like you use graphic cards
yes, I was
for
about to say that.
GPUs, yeah. When you use
GPU.
GPUs for physical simulations and for solving numerical problems in science, which they are made for graphic processing, but you can use them also in other ways.
Yeah.
And that was like a moment cool. And I think Dario remarks often something about the visual processing of INTJs, but also other types. There are there are some other types who use the back of the brain.
Yeah, and this is mentioned quite a bit in the SI Hangout.
Oh, okay.
About the back of the,
I have to look. I have to look that one up that you mentioned earlier when he talks about an eye. Can you
yeah,
can you link that one to me? Well, I will actually try to look at it in
okay.
the next few
Actually,
days.
right. Okay, I can do that now. So what you can, if you talk about the right, what I can do is I can give you the next slide, and then the top of the next one is, again, that's why we looked at it. There you go. They got organization and order. That's it. Just the. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, people really needed that other to actually know the difference between, because he's assuming that people have read the rest of the chapter when he's writing about order and organization.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, later on he talks about things like.
I like the last sentence. They are more prone to use. Can you get back?
Yeah, I'll go back.
To use diplomacy tactics to use practice and strategy more than diplomacy tactics, and especially logistics. Yes.
Yeah, that's for all NTs, I think.
Mm.
Let's have a look. They are.
But logistics probably are higher up for INTJs than INTPs, I guess. He has a diagram of NTs and the order of
I've got it that in personology. I've got in personology, the designer INTP is weakest at logistics of all the types, and in fact, the weakest at their opposite type is the STJ. In terms of
I remember you did a post about the logistics proficiency of all types based on Keirsey ordered.
Yeah.
I think that was the one post that drew me into your whole analysis of Keirsey back a year ago. Let's see. But I would I have to reopen my own ebook.
Yeah, the type of logistics he's talking about are it's just like normal like day-to-day living, housework, material, all the bog standard boring stuff.
No, well, I mean, logistic is being aware of resource management, especially time and other resources. Okay. The mastermind. I would suspect that the mastermind is somewhat better at logistics than the architect. There must be some.
Yeah, I've got the. I'll look for the diagram. I think I'll look for the one that I scanned. Right, strategic contender. I'm looking for strategic accommodator. Oh, was it that one or was it a different one? Yeah, I've got the opposite as the ESTJ.
Yeah, but that's...
I think it might be something like this. I've not scanned it yet. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't quite like this, but this is.
Yeah, but this is INTP. So, and the Pessimum TA is probably correlated to logistics also, but in Keirsey terms, it seems like logistical leader is.
Yeah, so like I got them in the Pessimum energy column.
Mm.
The SI and the TE. Right. The other one I did, and like I've got the designer here. And the opposite.
Oh yeah. Okay. So that's the one I think I was talking about. The logistical IQ. Is this?
Yeah, it's where oh wait a minute. And it has them, and then they've got like protector. This it's sort of like what's happened is you've got the interaction style where it's accommodating. So you've got like the INTP is accommodating, the ISFP is accommodating, the INFP is accommodating, and the protector is accommodating, and supervisor is initiating, so like in charge, educator is in charge, ESDP is in charge, and mobilizer is in charge. So it's sort of like organized by interaction style and temperament. And the reason he has the SJs as opposite from the NTs is that the NTs are abstract and utilitarian, whereas these are concrete and cooperative. Yeah, cooperative.
Yeah. We are diverging again. Let's get to the other two sides so we can finish this up.
Yeah, we got because I hope we're going to sleep soon. We got yeah, I think. Well, we're actually just meant to be doing the we're just meant to be doing the just that paragraph.
Yes.
It's just that bit there.
Yeah.
Where the mastermind rationals are would-be masters of order, architect rationals are would-be masters of organization. That's it. We do the other paragraphs in future.
Okay. Intervals of time. That is something I found interesting when I saw the whole diagram where it's all together. Perception of time and intervals of time sounds very right for INTPs at least. Like I don't think of in the moment or in the past or in the future. For me, everything is kind of connected to an themed-based event sequence. And a cloud, not even a sequence, like events that are happening, things that I know about history are rather somewhere in the 18th century, somewhere during the industrial revolution. I don't have like a good temporal memory of that. Okay, so
yes, we are done, folks. We are both getting late here.
And if you made it to the end
in England and Deutschland, we are both getting late in both of the lands.
Right.
Bye, folks.
Was fun, Ben. Bye.
Yep. Bye. Here we go.